It's kind of striking, isn't it? We're all like hyper-connected digitally, phones buzzing all the time.
Uh-huh.
But somehow people are reporting feeling more lonely. It feels, I don't know, counterintuitive.
It really does. And that's sort of the backdrop for what we're digging into today, isn't it?
Exactly. This deep dive is really for you, the listener, if you're curious about the actual science behind our social lives. We're drawing heavily from Daniel Goleman's book, Social Intelligence.
Right. It's a fantastic source. It really unpacks the new science of human relationships.
Covers a lot of ground. Starts with how we're basically wired to connect.
Mm-hmm.
Then goes into what happens when bonds get broken, which is pretty crucial.
Yeah, and how our nature is nurtured socially, the different varieties of love, why healthy connections matter so much.
And even the bigger social consequences of it all. It's quite comprehensive.
Totally. So our mission today really is to pull out the key insights about this fundamental need we have for connection and, the complex ways our relationships actually work. Yeah, to give you a richer understanding of this, vital part of being human.
Ready to jump in.
Let's do it. So that first part, Wired to Connect, kicks off with something Goleman calls the emotional economy.
Emotional economy. What does he mean by that exactly?
Well, it's this fundamental need we have to connect emotionally. And the idea is that our most potent exchanges, the ones that really matter, happen with the people we care most about.
Right. And it's not just about feeling good, is it? These interactions, they do things biologically.
Oh, absolutely. They help regulate our emotions, for starters.
Yeah.
But it goes deeper. They impact our hormones, our immune systems even. It's quite physical.
Wow. He even talks about a brain-to-brain link, like our connections buffer us.
Yeah, it suggests our strongest relationships can provide a kind of biological resilience. It's fascinating stuff.
Okay, so how do we build those strong connections? He mentions rapport.
Right, and rapport is more than just, having a pleasant chat. It's this combination of things happening at once.
Like what?
Mutual attention, both people really tuned in. A shared positive feeling, like a warmth. And nonverbal coordination, little things, synchronized movements.
That's subtle stuff you don't always notice.
Exactly. Goleman calls it the glow of simpatico, that feeling when you just click. And interestingly, that kind of rapport can actually boost creativity, make groups make decisions more efficiently.
So shared attention, empathy, that makes sense.
Right.
But the synchrony part, mirroring posture, movements, even breathing, is that conscious?
Mostly not, no. It's often quite unconscious. But it creates this powerful sense of being understood, a feeling of we-ness.
Like a social glue.
Kind of, yeah. And it starts really, really early. Think about proto-conversation between a mother and baby.
Before words.
Way before words. It's all nonverbal, that back and forth rhythm, the shared emotion. That's the absolute foundation for human interaction. It sets the stage.
So it's almost like we have this built-in neural Wi-Fi, always scanning for social signals.
That's a great way to put it. And mirror neurons are key here.
Ah, yes, mirror neurons. They let us mimic others.
Mimic, but also understand. When you see someone reach for a cup, your mirror neurons fire as if you were reaching. It helps you grasp their intention, their feeling, almost instantly.
So we're constantly internally rehearsing what others are doing and feeling.
In a way, yes. It's partly how emotional contagion works, how moods spread through a crowd.
Oh, yeah, like laughter being contagious or feeling the tension in a room.
Exactly. That's that neural Wi-Fi and mirror system at work. It means our social environment is constantly shaping us, often without us realizing it.
And this wiring, it seems, even pushes us towards helping each other. He talks about an instinct for altruism.
Yeah, it's not just wishful thinking. There's biological evidence. Studies, for instance, with monkeys showed they'd endure discomfort to avoid causing pain to another monkey.
Really? So empathy isn't just a nice idea, it's adaptive.
It seems to be a key survival strategy, especially for primates like us. Cooperation, mutual aid, those things boost survival chances for the whole group. Our pull towards connection and helping has likely shaped our evolution profoundly.
Okay, so all this complex interactions happening where in the brain? He mentions specific areas like the orbitofrontal cortex, OFC.
That's a big one, yes.
Oh, no.
The OFC acts like it's a social hub. It integrates all this incoming social information and helps guide our behavior based on the context. Is this person friendly? Is this situation safe?
And what about the high road and low road he talks about?
Ah, right. That's about processing speed. The low road is the fast track straight to the amygdala, our emotional alarm system. It gives you that quick gut reaction. Danger! Or maybe attraction.
Instant feeling.
Instant feeling, exactly. The high road is slower. It goes through the prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of the brain. It allows for more careful consideration, context, nuance.
So you might feel a flash of anger. That's the low road. But then the high road kicks in and says, hang on, let's assess this.
Precisely. That's the idea of reappraisal. The high road can modulate or sort of turn down the volume on the low road's initial emotional blast. It lets us reframe things, choose a more considered response. It's crucial for navigating social complexities.
Okay, this is all building towards his definition of social intelligence then. What is it, in his view?
Fundamentally, it's the ability to understand social situations and navigate them effectively. He breaks it down into two main parts.
Which are?
Social awareness and social facility. Social awareness is about understanding what's going on.
Like picking up vibes.
Exactly. It includes things like primal empathy, that gut feeling for someone else's state, attunement, really listening, being fully present, empathic accuracy, getting the specifics of their thoughts and feelings right, and social cognition, knowing how social situations generally work, the unwritten rules.
Okay, so that's the awareness part. What's social facility?
That's the action side, how you actually handle yourself socially. It includes that synchrony we talked about, interacting smoothly, self-presentation, how you come across, influence, having an impact on interactions, and concern, genuinely caring about others and acting on it.
So it's both understanding and acting effectively. And that attunement, that deep listening, sounds key.
Absolutely fundamental. It's about receiving the other person fully.
Right. So we're wired for this. We have the intelligence for it. But obviously connections don't always work out. Which brings us to part 2, broken bonds. He starts with Martin Buber's ideas, I, you, and I, it.
Yeah, this is a really powerful distinction. An I-you relationship is, well, it's seeing the other person as a whole being, connecting with genuine presence, feeling. It's mutual.
And I, it.
I-it is when you treat the other person more like an object, a means to an end, someone to be used or managed rather than truly related to. Buber felt modern life often pushes us towards more I-it interactions.
Which leads to that feeling of disconnection we started with.
Exactly. It's a loss of that deep human-to-human contact. He contrasts this with the Japanese idea of amai.
Amai. What's that?
It's this feeling of comfortable dependence within a close relationship, like the feeling a child has with a parent, but it can exist between adults too. It's about trust and reliance, the opposite of treating someone as an it.
Interesting contrast. Then Goleman discusses the dark triad. That sounds ominous.
It is. Narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. The common thread. A serious lack of empathy.
Treating people as objects again.
Very much so. It's an extreme I-it orientation. Manipulating others for personal gain, often without remorse or shame. These traits are obviously very damaging to social bonds.
Yeah, clearly. And then there's mindblindness, which he links to autism spectrum disorder. That seems like a different kind of challenge to connection.
It is different. Mindblindness isn't about malice. It's a difficulty in intuitively grasping what others are thinking or feeling, their intentions. It makes navigating social cues and forming bonds challenging.
Not a lack of wanting connection, necessarily.
Not at all. But the way social information is processed is different. Goleman mentions the contrast between systemizing, understanding systems, rules, patterns, often a strength for people on the spectrum, and empathizing, which can be more challenging.
It really shows how many layers there are to connecting. Okay, so moving to part 3, nurturing nature. How do these abilities develop? He says, genes are not destiny.
Crucial point. Yes, genes lay a foundation, but our environment, our experiences profoundly shape our social selves. This is where epigenetics comes in.
Epigenetics. That's about how experiences can change how genes work.
Exactly. Without changing the DNA sequence itself, experiences can switch genes on or off. He cites animal studies showing how early nurturing, lots of licking and grooming from mom rats, for example, can literally change gene expression in the pups, making them less stressed and more social later on.
So our social world gets under our skin, biologically.
It really does. It's this constant interplay between our genetic predispositions and our social experiences that makes us who we are socially.
And a huge part of that early experience is having a secure base.
Yeah.
Right? Early attachment.
Absolutely fundamental. When caregivers are consistently responsive and available, it creates this deep sense of safety and trust. That's the secure base.
And that lets a child feel safe enough to explore.
Exactly. Knowing you have that safe harbor to return to encourages exploration, learning, and builds confidence for future relationships. On the flip side, inconsistent or neglectful care can really undermine the development of social skills and secure attachments later in life.
It lays the groundwork for so much. He also talks about a set point for happiness. Were we just stuck with a certain level?
Well, there might be a baseline, a kind of genetic tendency, but Goleman argues our social experiences, especially early ones, can influence our capacity for joy and resilience.
How so?
Those early experiences of synchrony, that attuned communication we talked about with caregivers, they actually shape the brain's pathways for positive emotion. Good social experiences can, in a sense, raise our potential for happiness and connection over time.
Wow. It really all comes back to how deeply interconnected our social lives and our whole being are, psychologically and biologically.
Absolutely. We started talking about loneliness despite connection, but the science shows connection isn't just nice, it's necessary, like food and water.
Yeah. The quality of our relationships really does seem to echo through everything. Our health, happiness,
Yeah.
everything.
It's profound, isn't it, that our social world isn't just out there, it's actively shaping us from the inside out. Our need to connect is fundamental.
So thinking about all this deep need we have and how much these connections shape us.
Yeah.
Maybe a question for you, the listener, to ponder is how can we intentionally cultivate more of those meaningful IU connections, especially, in our busy, often digital lives?
That's a good one. And maybe another layer. If our social experiences really can tweak our biology, what responsibility does that give us? How can we help create more nurturing, more supportive social environments, not just for ourselves, but for others too?
Definitely things to think about. If this dive into the science of connection has piqued your interest, well, Daniel Goleman's Social Intelligence obviously goes much deeper. Highly recommend checking it out.
For sure. There's a lot more there.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive today.